Good afternoon. Thanks everyone for joining us today. We have an update with Bonterra, who just put out an updated resource this morning. So really exciting times. Looking forward to digging into that. Before we get started, a couple things. So first off, this presentation will contain forward-looking statements. You can find those on the company's disclosure on their website, and there will be a Q&A section at the end. So feel free to input any questions you have in the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. With that out of the way, I'd like to introduce Pascal Hamlin, CEO of Bonterra. Hi, Pascal.
Hi, Deborah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Lovely, lovely,
Yeah,
exciting day today.
Yeah, a combination of a lot of work.
Yes, months of work. We had our geologist who's been on this for 2 years, basically, since the last resource. And we got SLR and SGS on board with us since December. So it's a long process, but it's a good results.
Yeah, great update. So why don't you give us a little bit of background on yourself and the company for anyone that's new to the story, and then we can jump into the update and do some Q&A.
Yeah. So myself, 30 years veteran in mining. I've been in the camp for 11 years now, mostly in the management side, operating management. Became CEO of Bonterra Resources in July 2020. Right away with the board, we agreed that the resource update was a key element, a key milestone to grow the company. So we started that process, going out for bids last fall, awarded the contract to SLR and SGS as peer reviewer. We began the process this winter. We told the market that we were going to complete the resource estimate before the end of Q2, which we did. We got it out. We're proud to say that we got it out this morning, but it's a milestone. Now the next phase is to continue the drilling. We're drilling about 10,000 meters per month. The ratio between the various projects is 4,000, more or less, 4,000 at Gladiator, 4,000 at Barry, and 2,000 meters at Mulroy. And the goal in the next few months is to continue the expansion drilling, and we're going to do the PEA, and we already started the PEA, but we're going to release the results of the PEA in Q4. So the slide deck. So Bonterra, we're in the BTB Greenstone Belt. We have significant assets now with solid resource, with three set of eyes of geologists validating the resource. So it's a solid resource model. We did a lot of oriented core drilling in the last 2 years, so the geology model is pretty solid. And it was validated by external review. The PEA started already, like I mentioned, so before the end of the year, we're going to have that delivered to the market. And in parallel to that, we're continuing to advance the permitting for the Bachelor Mill, which is in the camp. It's owned by Bonterra Resources, and it's an operational mill at 800 tons a day that we're in the permitting phase to expand to 2,400 tons a day. Why? Is to be able to accept fees from multiple deposits like Gladiator, Barry, and Mulroy. Right now, it's with the additional ounces in our market cap, it makes us a very discounted value versus our peers. Like we're at less than $40 an ounce. And typically an assets in Canada, company with assets like us, we're closer to $100. So anyway, and we're drilling. We're continuing to drill this summer at 10,000 meters per month. So very exciting time for us. You see here the average of Canadian companies. They're all in the range of $100 an ounce US. We're at 36. So I believe This resource update will provide a re-rating once people have time to digest what we released this morning. I believe we're going to get a re-rating. But that's a milestone, like I mentioned. We're doing the resource update right now. The technical report will be out in July. The PEA is already started with SLR. The SLR team, mining engineers, are doing the mine design as we speak. And I'm very confident we're going to have that out in Q4. And again, permitting and the ramp, exploration ramp permitting is in process also for the Gladiator deposit. So we can go from underground and drill year round. And if people are wondering what we're going to do after the PEA, well, it's the next phase, the feasibility. So, so it's going to be what we're going to be having the books and the plan for 2022 while we continue to expand our resource. I'll go on each deposit later where we think we can expand the resource. Capital structure, solid shareholders. You know, we have 55% of our shareholder base held by a few funds. Wexford, Kirkland Lake, MN Cap, Fidelity, Ruffers. They're all significant shareholders, and they're very supportive of our plan. We have analyst coverage that was initiated back in April by Cormark Securities. Richard Gray is the analyst. Target price is over 360 per share at 100 million shares current capital structure. So a lot of upside, lots of upside potential for the company. Well cashed up too. You know, we have the cash to execute the plan for 2021. So, you know, like it's a matter of executing. Board representation. We have 6 directors on the board. Cesar and Akiba and Peter O'Malley are from the States. And Normand Champigny, Jean Rainville, and Mathieu Apijac are from Quebec. Normand and Jean Rainville have a mining technical background. And Mathieu Apijac is the president of a regional airline, but also a member of the Cree First Nation of Waswanipi. Waswanipi is the 30 kilometers from the Bachelor Mill. So Mathieu knows the area very well. And also people in Waswanipi knows Mathieu very well as well. Our location, we're in the BTB Greenstone Belt. It's a younger camp, younger as far as geology knowledge. You know, the Barry, Gladiator, and Windfall deposit were all discovered late 80s, early 90s. It took some time to pick up, you know, when it's prospector acquiring the site, it takes some time to build the geology knowledge, but now this camp is probably the busiest camp in Canada. We have over 30 drills between us and our neighbor. So it's extremely busy. Myself, I'm convinced there will be head frames in there within 10 years. You know, these deposits are starting right from surface, but they go down at depth. We're still shallow, us, compared to other deposit and the BTB Greenstone, because it's a younger deposit. We don't have as much drilling done, but eventually, you know, they're open at depth. So we're going to be drilling at depth too. But right now we're focusing on expanding from the known zone. We're going to do step out, step out, step out, and then eventually we'll be at depth. But that's longer term. Our deposit, where they're located versus each other. The Moroy deposit is right against the Bachelor Mill. 1 kilometer south, it's using the infrastructure of the Bachelor mine. The Bachelor Mill is up there as well, and it's on the power grid. So it's got everything, all the services is up there. It's a built camp. Barry and Gladiator are accessible year-round through gravel road. Well-maintained roads. These roads are used by the forestry industry for decades, so they're well-maintained, and the maintenance cost is shared between us and Cisco. So both of us are collaborating on maintaining these assets. And our strategy is to take the material from each deposit and truck it to the bachelor mill. So that's probably the scenario we're going to see in the PEA, but we're going to look at every scenario in our PEA. But to me, I think the scenario that will be kept will be the trucking everything to the bachelor mill. Now, with the over 3 million ounces in resources, you see our market cap, you see our enterprise value, $36. So a lot of upside potential. We're in good jurisdiction. We got proven resource, you know, like when I say proven, I should be careful. Very well-defined, solid resource. So it's, to me, 3 million ounces is solid. The jurisdiction is solid. We have good talent. You know, we're within trucking distance from Val-d'Or and Chibougamau and Labelle-sur-Quivillon. So the talent is there. We're in good jurisdiction. We got good geology. So it's a matter of developing the assets, which we're doing. If you look at our flagship deposit, the Gladiator Deposit, very comparable to other deposits in the EB3 Greenstone Belt. If you compare with Lamaque or Windfall, Gladiator it's got comparison, but also it's got less drilling. So a lot of upside. So we're going to continue the drilling. Right now at Gladiator, we have 2 drills on the water, drilling the south end of the deposit. So this will be all outside the existing resource. Now, there's regional exploration that we're going to be doing. Where the Canal property is located, this is part of what we call the Duke option. The Duke option is an option agreement that we reached with Beaufield Resource back in 2018. Subsequently, in the fall 2018, Beaufield was acquired by Osisko Mining. So this is a land portion that we have an option agreement with Osisko Mining. So things are progressing very well on that end. I don't see any hiccup. So this option eventually, to me, it's going to become a JV. The Gladiator Deposit. You see, the Gladiator Deposit is on a shear system. Right now, the focus is on the water just south of the Gladiator Deposit. You see this geophysic anomaly. This is where we're going to be drilling this summer. On the isometric view, what we're drilling is this portion here to the south. So the south zone is going up, and we're going to drill it. And also, we're going to be drilling the extension to the south over here. So this is all expansion drilling. This is where we're going to be focusing this summer. The Barry project, there's, as you saw in the resource statement, there's an open pit potential. So we're going to do the economics on that this summer. That's going to be part of the PEA, but it's an expansion of the existing pit. The reason you may ask why they didn't do the pit back in 2009, 2010, the geology wasn't done yet. They mined before the geology, so the geology was done recently. So we'll do the engineering and then we'll do the mining, and not mining first and then try to figure out. We're gonna do the geology. We did the geology. We're gonna do the engineering. Then we're gonna do the mining. And then we're going to assess if we should do mining underground first, same time as open pit, or open pit first. This is going to be part of the PEA. But there's open pit resource and underground resource in that deposit. The zone where there's significant growth potential is what we call the H15 or H12 and H15. It's open at depth over here. So right now, our drilling this summer is focused in this sector here, southwest of the deposit. around the H15. And eventually, yes, we're going to be drilling at depth, but right now we're still doing, we got some catch-up drilling near surface to do. And eventually, yes, we're going to be testing the north end and the east end of the deposit. But right now, the focus is on this southwest section. Mulroy, we have access to the deposit. So right now, what's left to do for Mulroy is to do the engineering and then the feasibility. Mulroy is about 1 kilometer south of the Bachelor mine, and we have access on level 14 and level 11. So the capex to develop this asset, this deposit, will be minimal. And you know, as soon as we do the engineering, late 2022, early 2023, we could go for the permit for the mining lease and get this asset in production. Of course, regional targets, like we discovered this winter an anomaly about a 1.2, 1.3 kilometer northeast of the Bachelor mine, Bachelor headframe. So we're going to be doing some surface drilling there in the second half of 2021. It's this sector here is near surface. Transformation of Bonterra, you know, like in the last few years, there was, you know, Bonterra was an early stage exploration with one asset. 2018, Bonterra acquired the Bachelor Mill, the Barry deposit, and the Mulroy deposit. We relocated the office from Vancouver to Val-d'Or to be in Quebec, near our site. You know, adjustment on the board. Now we have alignment within the board on the plan. Good support from the shareholder, and we're executing the plan right now. So resource in June, done. So next phase, the PEA this fall, and continue the drilling. So to wrap up, in Quebec, good jurisdiction. We have good resource. We've got a solid resource now with, you know, a good solid resource estimate done by two well-known independent firms, consulting firms, SLR and SGS. Our geologist did a lot of work on the geology model in the last 2 years, so it's a solid resource. We've got over 3 million ounces now. Quebec, infrastructure already in place. So I only see good things happening in the future for Bonterra. So on this, I'll answer the, I'll turn the mic to Deborah for any questions.
Sure. Thanks for that overview, Pascal. I think it was really, really useful and thorough. So I have one question for you. So how much of the resource increase is attributed to the lower cutoff grade used in the updated mineral resource estimate?
That will be, I would say, off the probably half of it is lower cutoff grade. The other half is expansion drilling.
Okay, and maybe you can elaborate on some of the differences in the assumptions between the previous resource and the updated one. I guess
13
quality.
Yeah, well, the mining cost is about the same. It's the gold price that went up on the assumption. That's the major one. Yeah, that's it. It's the gold price. That's the one element, because the assets are the same, the assumptions were the same. Of course, there's a little bit of a cost increase, but not significant enough to offset the gold price increase.
Okay, and you picked 1,600 US for your gold price. Can you elaborate on why you chose that number?
I was looking at our peers, what was happening out there. Of course, the technical report will go in more detail. You're going to see sensitivity study at different cutoff grade. But for the press release, we, you know, so we want people to remember the numbers. So we picked 1600, but there'll be a sensitivity study done in the. But it was basically comparing what our peers.
Chose, yeah. When do you think you'll have the technical study posted? A week or two?
Oh, it takes about, well, we have 45 days. The plan is to have that submitted, the deposit on CDAR before the end of July.
Okay. And just talking about your financial position, how much cash do you have on hand and what's your burn rate?
Yeah, the cash in hand between 12 and 14 million right now. With the drilling, it's about 2 million. I would say 2 million a month that we're investing on our exploration assets. Corporate, we're still lean and mean. The dollars are all going to the drill bit and the geology.
Mm-hmm. You had a strategic review committee set up. Are you going to dissolve that, or are you going to continue carrying that forward?
You're referring to the unsolicited offer we received in November, I'm guessing. Mm-hmm. You know, it will. The members are still active. They're still on the board. So if we have activities on that side, the committee is ready to go. But the priority for us is to right now to complete the resource the resource estimate technical report, have that on the on CDAR, and on the strategic review. We're not soliciting offers, you know, we're not soliciting them, but we're open for business too, you know. So yeah, we do have a data room. Yes, we have CA signed with majors, but I don't control their agenda. I don't control their timeline. I control my timeline, and our timeline is to deliver the PA for Q4. So that's what we're going to be focusing on. And in the meantime, we'll answer any questions people have in the data room.
Got it. I guess the question was just around the cost of the strategic committee, but it sounds like the participants are already otherwise employed by the company. So there's not a huge cost to that, or
no. It's not material at all. No, it's not significant at all.
You got board members, you may as well make them work, right?
You know, we're compensating them, of course, you know, but they're not expensive.
And that dollar number that you referenced for your cash on hand, was that US or Canadian?
It's all Canadian, so I should have mentioned it.
And you spoke throughout your presentation about the Duke option agreement. I believe that the expiry date's coming up. Can you give us an update on that?
Yeah, the option was signed July 6, 2018. It was a 3-year option agreement. So we had to pay, that agreement was signed with Beaufield Resources back in 2018. It's a north portion, it's a portion of land just north of the Gladiator Deposit and east of, let's see, I'll go back to this slide here. So it's, people may have a hard time seeing it, but it's you see this gray line here. This is the Duke option, this portion here north. And we're near the end of completing the option. You know, we had so much investment to do per year on exploration, 1.5 million, which is well in progress. Actually, it's ahead of schedule. So I don't see any hurdles from converting that option into a JV eventually. Right now, it's an exploration play, you know, but it's between two great projects, Gladiator and Windfall, and the camp is so young in knowledge. the geologists have targets everywhere to follow up on. So I see a lot of good potential for that area too.
Okay. So it sounds like you're interested in executing your option potentially.
Oh, yes.
So Barry, it had the most significant additions in the resource. Is it still open at depth and along strike? How big do you think that deposit can get?
Barry is open to the west, to the east, and at depth. So and I should always keep in mind to the north as well, because this drilling here, it was too early. We did a discovery there in the fall 2020, but it was too early to even make inferred category resource. So we didn't focus on that this winter. This winter, we knew we discovered something last summer when we drilled. We did the drilling on the lake over here. We knew that we were on something for 2021. So we focused the drilling over here. Now we're continuing to focus here. Right now, our camps with the COVID, 2 drills, 3, 4 drills is stretching, but you got to keep in mind that we have a camp size that we can allocate for workers, and I'm limited on the number of drills that I can put on one target. So that's why we're drilling at Gladiator, Barry, and Moroy. I'm not drilling all at Barry or all at Gladiator. We have to respect distance, and I don't want to have any COVID case at our site. We've been managing well since a year, and I want to keep it that way. So 2 drills at Barry. We're going to drill the south here this summer, and then we have to continue to the south. So we're going to keep going south. We've got lots of room. Eventually, the geologists are working on a budget to go back drilling from underground, because Barry already has a decline down 100 meters below surface. It involves dewatering, but that ramp is dry. It took almost a year to flood the ramp, and to lower the water level, it takes about 2 weeks. So it's a fairly dry ramp, very easy to dewater. So when the geologists are ready, we'll go and drill from underground. But right now, we've got a lot of follow-up drilling to do from surface first to the south. But eventually, we're going to be going to the north, because this dash line here is the Messiah fault. The Windfall deposit is against that fault. They call it the bank fault, but it's right against it. And us, like the geophysics tells us there's something in between, but we're still drilling a little bit further south. So there might be something in between too. So, and we did find some gold intercept. So we just have to follow up on those targets too.
Got it.
So and a lot of expansion potential.
Sorry, at Barry, you outline an open pit and underground scenario. Have you given much thought to the overall development of the asset?
It's I've been given some thought. I'll let the engineers continue the work. We have to do some economics, some trade-off study, but certainly we can do the pit. I already checked with the engineers. We can do the pit first without affecting the ramp, and we can do the mining underground without being impacted by the ramp. So it could be, it's going to be a matter of head grades that what we want to ship to the mill first, and the cost per ounces of shipping that ounces to the mill. So for NPV and cash flow, you want your lowest cost material go first per ounces. So sometimes the 2 gram material, although it's lower grade, but if it's a lot cheaper, it might be better to ship that to the mill first. Well, I'll let the engineers do some work on that.
And under this scenario, do you need to build extra infrastructure to ship ore to the bachelor mill, or do you have enough infrastructure in place? for an open pit and underground scenario?
Well, the mill itself needs to be upgraded, of course. You're not going to run an open pit at 800 tons a day. The mill will be the bottleneck on day one. So the road needs to be upgraded between Bachelor and Barrie, some sections of the road. Not significant, because the road's been, like I mentioned, the road's been used by the forestry industry very well. So, but there's a 30-kilometer section here between kilometer 40 and kilometer 18 that needs to be resurfaced. So it's not significant cost, and there's no permit. You just go and fix the road. The road's already there, and it's a public road. The public is using it, and I'm willing to bet they're anxious to see us repair that road. The fishermen, like the land user, they're probably pretty anxious to see us fixing that road.
Do you think you can get any government funding for the road?
Yes. There's actually the government is asking us, near the end of March. They always ask us, do you have any work? But we're not ready yet. We want to do the feasibility first, and the PEA first, and then the feasibility. Why? Of course, we're going to invest in those roads eventually, but there's no need to invest today. The investment today is on drilling and on engineering.
Well, you're doing a lot of drilling. I think you said 10,000 meters a month.
That's correct. We're going to keep that target for the end of the remaining of the year.
And I know you had a Gantt chart in your presentation. I think over the winter you drilled a lot at Barrie, but less so at Gladiator. Is that going to switch throughout the year? Are you going to move focus or?
The number of drills is the same. It's just that Barrie, the rock is so easy to drill. The drillers get more performance per day. So you get more drilling done at Barrie, but it's the same number of rigs. It's 2 and 2. Right now, Gladiator is going very well on the water. So I'm expecting good meters of diamond drilling core between now and the end of October. At the end of October, we're going to have to stop the drilling on water on the barges. We're going to have to put that on pause. Winter drilling, we're going to assess it again. If there's shallow area of the lake where we can drill in the winter, I will certainly look at it. But deeper zone, and deep, it doesn't mean 60 meters of water. Like 10 meters of water is too much. It takes so long to build the ice in the winter in order to put a drill rig on it, that it makes the drilling cost so expensive. You're better off drilling double the drilling in the summer month, or even better, get a decline going so you can drill from underground year round.
Sounds like you're trying to convince me Quebec's not as cold as I think it is.
Actually, it's not cold enough up there in winter drilling anyway.
I'll take the other side of that one. So can you touch on some of the regional drilling that you've done that wasn't included in the estimate, and which prospects you're most excited about?
Actually, we're both us and Cisco were drilling in this sector here, Moss and south of Moss. There's good potential in that area. There's a zone east of Canal. We're going to go back there this summer, called Zone 18 or Cominco. Cominco used to be drilling there back in, I think, in the 80s or early 90s. But there's an interesting zone we're going to be drilling there. Those, I would say, are the two main ones that are getting my attention. But the geologists have targets like this one here, the Barrie southeast extension. The geologist wants to go down there eventually, but the focus has to stay on Barrie and Gladiator as well. in the size of our camps. So the bulk of our drilling will still be at Barry and Gladiator.
Okay. Was there anything in the resource that surprised you, Pascal?
Actually the H15s at Barry, I love it. Like it's thick. A lot of ounces. You hear sometimes the parameter ounces per vertical meter. That zone at Barry is very thick, and it's like very long, a long strike. So for the capital development, for a mining engineer, it's ideal. You develop the level and you're there for years. So that's very rare. You see that on gold deposit. So that's going to be an interesting one. What I like about Gladiator is the geologists, when they look at it, they see similitude with deposit in Valdor Camp. And like if I take Sigma mine, it's a former mine that was in operation for like 50 years. Every time the main subvertical shear zone were intercepting these dipping zone, the intersection was like it was a jewelry box, and Gladiator looks like that. So I can't wait to be underground and go do a bulk sample in one of the zones to see how big are those jewelry box. But we'll find out, but we're not there yet. Like we have to drive the decline. We're going to continue the drilling, but that's one thing that that excites me with Gladiator is those intersection of the two structure.
I like the sound of a jewelry box at a mine.
Yeah, same here.
So can you walk through your timeline to get into production? So you've got the resource is out, you've got the PEA in the fall. What's next? And can you put some timelines on it?
Most recommendation from PEAs, not just our company, but any gold assets in Canada, the typical recommendation is to do infill drilling, to increase measured indicated resource, to convert into reserve. So I don't see us being different. We're going to do infill drilling in the first half of 2022 and feasibility in the second half. And then have the feasibility completed by the fall 2022. So that's the picture I have right now. That could change because the economics, the drilling. I discover something big next week. Well, guess what? All this is different now. But today's picture is feasibility in the fall 2022, and then parallel to that, continue to advance the permit for the mill. The permit for the mill is well advanced. Investors can go to the government website to see the progress of the permitting. It's fully transparent. People can see, anyone can see the permitting process. So we're well advanced. We're in the Q&A phase. So we're near the end of the decree. So really the permit is not even on our critical path. It's the feasibility that's on the critical path to get to production. So feasibility late 2022, and then after that, construction. So construction early 2023, and then eventually production ramp up that, it will start probably second half of 2023 and ramping up. But the PA will have more detail on that. That's right now, it's my gut feeling talking.
Okay. And I know it's still early days in terms of thinking about sequencing and which assets you're going to bring on first. Do you have any plan or any idea of how you're going to develop the overall land package?
Well, some of them will be limited by the capital development required, like Gladiator, because Gladiator requires a decline and the Barry deposit is already 100 meters below surface. So Barry is almost a year ahead of Gladiator just because of that. Mm-hmm. So Barry will most likely, Barry and Moroy will be the first two when the feasibility is completed. Barry could be a little bit earlier than Moroy because Barry already has the mining lease. Whereas Moroy, once you submit the feasibility study to the Ministry of Natural Resource, you need to wait for the mining lease permit. So that may take a few days to a few months, depends on the analysis that the ministry will do. But Barry has all the permit. So I see Barry first, not too long after Moroy, and a year later would be Gladiator.
Okay. And going back to the Duke option agreement, we had a follow-on question that I missed. Will that option cost more on execution? Or is there a spend?
No, well, after that, it's a JV. So it's a management committee composed of management from Bonterra and a Cisco that decides on an exploration budget, and then it's executing this exploration budget. But to earn the option earning, it's completed as of July 6, 2021. So there's no more investment to make on the Bonterra side to acquire the JV.
It would just be equal spend.
After that, no, 70-30. The option, like people can see the option agreement press release. I think it was August 2018, or no, July 2018. The option is the future JV is 70% Bonterra and 30% Cisco, while Bullfield at the time, now Cisco. And at the beginning, Bonterra is the operator.
That's what I was going to ask. And that doesn't switch. You'll be the operator for the duration of exploration?
As long as we maintain our investment portion of our, whoever's has over 50% is the operator. So us, as long as we maintain our investment, Bonterra, we're going to be the operator.
Okay. And then I had one question from the audience that I wasn't 100% certain what they were getting at. Would you mind pulling up the valuation slide, the EV per ounce? I think that's what they're getting at in terms of where you're trading at versus peers on an EV to ounce basis.
This one here?
That one. Oh yeah, you've got the EV to ounce. Yeah, that one's fine. So you're trading at 36.
Yeah, 36 US.
Okay. I think.
And if you look in gray here, those are the recent acquisition. The average acquisition cost was closer to $180 an ounce for a Canadian asset.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Battle North was the most recent one. Battle North is a few months ahead of Bonterra. You know, they were almost there in production, and they were acquired $480.
Yeah, pretty good upside on a potential takeover. I had one question, and bear with me, Pascal, because it's a little bit out of my depth. So somebody wanted us to highlight the SLR RPA and stope optimizing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
It's basically taking the geology model. You know, the block model will create little blocks. They use leapfrog or data mine. Some companies will use data mine. In this case, SLR use data mine and leapfrog to make the block models. What the stope optimizer does is it increase, like where you have very narrow structure, let's say 0.8 meters. What it does is it dilute it to 1.2 meter thick to see what would be the grade in that 1.2 meter zone. And then if it's still above cutoff grade, then it's still a resource. And then it looks for continuity. So if it's an isolated pocket, this stope optimizer won't take it, will exclude it. So it takes these little pockets here and there that are orphaned out of the picture. It takes the zones that are continuous with continuous grade above the cutoff grade. So that's all it does. So it basically a computerized mine engineer.
And creates a higher quality resource because it's only including stuff that
it reduced the risk and it reduced and it reduced the goal with this. And that was part of the CIM guidelines from November 2019 is to decrease the difference between ounces on the resource phase and on the PEA phase. And then the investors are wondering where all these ounces go, or how come the grade is so different, But that's why you do that. So there's less variance between the resource and the PEA, what's published in the PEA.
So you would only really do this if you thought that the deposit was going to be mined eventually, correct? Like this seems like it's very, what's the word I'm going to use? I don't think a lot of companies would go through this length of detail or conservatism. So I think that's a credit to you guys and your team, but maybe I'm wrong.
No, you have a point. I'd rather be conservative and grow based on something solid. When you build a house, your foundation, it's the first thing you got to work on. If you have a solid foundation, guess what? Your house is going to look good. But if your house is built on whatever, well, guess what? You may have to redo your house 2-3 times. So and we see it all the time, like Battle North. Battle North is a good example. It started, the deposit hasn't changed, but I forgot which year. The former management and the former company went a little bit too quick, and then the foundation wasn't solid. Guess what? They had to rethink everything. So new management came in at Battle North, put a solid foundation on the infrastructure. You're going to have good geology and understand the geology first. We saw that also in Brazil. I forgot the name. Was it Colossus? Yeah, Colossus.
Yeah.
Back in maybe 10 years ago.
I remember that.
The bulk of their investment was on surface infrastructure. You got to go on the ground and do your bulk sample. You got to, and before that, you got to make sure of the geology. Mm-hmm. And there's tools for that. And that's why between 2019 and 2021, we did a lot of oriented core drilling. So we know the orientation of the veins when we look at it on the table in the core shack. The geologists, they understand the geology, not just the grade. So it's important, especially with narrow vein deposit. You gotta know the orientation of the vein.
Mm-hmm. So do the work now, and it'll save you later when you go to mine it.
Exactly, and you don't want to. You want to be on. You don't want to live with the unicorns, and you gotta be. It's important that to have a good start.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Well, I think you've used really conservative assumptions. You've used really good engineering firms.
Yes.
So it's a credit to management credibility. And also you've stuck to your timelines. You said that you're going to get this resource out in Q2, and you did that. So I think since we've met over the past, I think it was about a year ago that we met, you've set up milestones and you've hit every single one of them. So from our perspective, that's really good to see. And I'm sure investors appreciate that. I just have one final question for you, Pascal. And if anyone else has a question, feel free to chime in because I think we still have 10 minutes. So Pascal, what's a better party town, Montreal or Vegas?
I've been to Vegas once.
Who do you think is going to take it? Do you think Montreal?
Oh yeah, Montreal is going to win. But I'm sure Montreal players are humble. They're going to work hard tomorrow to win, and it's at home. I think it's going to be a big party tomorrow night, and there will be a few people missing work on Friday morning.
Will you be one of them?
I hope.
Well, I hope they take it too. I love Montreal. It's a good town.
Oh, I hope they make it to the final. And I tell you, I won't do like in 80, 93 and 86. You know, while in the 70s, I was too young to go to St. Catherine Street for the parade. But in 86, I was old enough. I was a young adult. And I said, I'll go next year, you know, because Montreal back then, they were winning all the time. So he said, well, if it's not this year, it will be next year. And then I realized in 93, well, yeah, 86, 93, yeah, well, I can go in 96 or 98. Now I know it's every 30 years. I may go this time.
But you're ready.
The next one, I might be too old.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. Is there anything I missed, Pascal? Anything you wanted to talk about today that we didn't cover?
No. Of course, there will be drill results out in the next few weeks. The geologists are back in the core shack. The resource model is done, so we're going to have the technical report out in July. People will see it's pretty solid, and I look forward to see the PEA released in Q4.
Yeah, me too. It's exciting.
Yeah.
Like you said, you've got so much drilling, and I think the news flow will be continuous. You've got a re-rating that should happen at some point this year. I think this is a big milestone towards that. So exciting times. And I just got a message from one of our audience participants that his family's the longest standing continuous or second longest standing continuous season ticket holder of Canadians tickets. So Pascal, get us a big win and maybe you'll get invited to a game.
Yeah. Well, I'll send my geologist before me. We have a very good team. Our people are working really hard. I have a team dedicated to these projects, and I tell you, the Bonterra team is a solid team.
Yeah, I agree.
Now we're going to win the cup.
Awesome. Well, I hope we have two victories to talk about over the course of the year. Thanks again. If anyone has any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out to me directly and I'll get them answered for you. And yeah, have a great afternoon, everyone.